Welcome to the Exam Room Podcast, brought to you by the Physicians Committee. Hi, I'm the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll. Thank you so very much for raising your health IQ with us coast to coast and around the world in more than 150 countries and making this one of the most consumed nutrition podcasts anywhere on the planet today. And on this planet, in particular today, we are in Rochester, Minnesota. I'm so happy to be joined by the Honorable Mayor Kim Norton of Rochester. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for the invitation to join you.
We are at a wonderful symposium right now, all about health and healthy eating. And you just read a proclamation really kind of putting healthy eating and lifestyle medicine on the map here in Rochester. And you said something that really stuck with me. You don't want this to just be a community where people come to get treatment. You want this to be a healthy community, period. I love that message.
Absolutely. That's been a goal of mine for years. And as mayor, I don't have control over everything, but I am able to make a proclamation and raise awareness about issues that are important.
What are some of the health challenges that are facing Rochester? When I think the average person thinks about Rochester, obviously they think Mayo Clinic, they think health, but this community is just kind of like any other, facing its own challenges.
Absolutely. While we may have, the world's greatest healthcare right under our noses and right down the street, that doesn't mean that we always make the right choices as individuals so that we don't have to go into those doors. And so part of what I do is try to help folks understand and join with partners like the Lotus Foundation to choose to live healthier lives ourselves, to eat better, to exercise more, to understand that what we do, how our actions are influencing our lifetime wellness or lack thereof, right?
And to that end, you have the Move with the Mayor campaign. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a national movement. There are over 100 mayors around the country that participate each year. And I choose a month in the spring and a month in the fall to really focus and ask folks to set goals for themselves, exercising every day, and ask them to track their minutes or let me know. And then, we have prizes. So it's fun too. I've held receptions for folks that participate, but we've been growing the program every year and really wanting folks to get out there. And this year, we're focusing not just on physical health, making sure our heart's healthy and we fight diabetes, but also making sure that our mental health is strong, because we know there's a link between exercise and mental health.
Oh, there's no question about it. I think overall health, when you're a healthier individual, your mental health just somehow improves too. I experienced that throughout my own weight loss. I had really bad depression growing up. And then, lose close to 300 pounds, you get a completely different outlook on life. And it's almost like the fog had lifted. And I love it when we get mental health doctors on here who can explore that. Why did you decide to go down that road this year as well?
Well, May is Mental Health Month. And I can tell you since the pandemic, we have been hearing from our residents, particularly our young people, that depression and mental wellness is a real issue. And so it made perfect sense to tie the two together. And we're doing that nationally as well as locally. And really excited about the number of people who show an interest here in Rochester and who participate.
I also want to ask you about, you have a keen interest in children's health as well, one that dates back decades to your time on the school board. You were a little bit of a rebel when these big soft drink companies were trying to come in and put soda machines in schools.
We decided that if we were going to go in that direction, because, schools are always looking for a few bucks and there were contracts to be had, how could we fund education? There was this debate going on about, should we take the money? And if we do we have a say on what products are sold in those machines? And so we spent well over a year debating, the products that are in there, advertising and how that could or couldn't happen. And it was winning small battles along the way, but we did end up making certain that there was a certain percent of healthy products in each of the vending machines that were allowed in. And we also focused on what we were doing in our school cafeterias, because vending was part of the problem. But as we looked at it, just what kids are eating overall was part of the issue. And here in Olmsted County, we have a slightly higher than average obesity rate, which is high across the country, and it was curious to me why we were high here. So that was also part of the reason it was just so important to do what we could as a public school to lower the calorie intake and offer healthier choices.
Again, that's really a national battle, not unique here in Rochester. What were some of the things that you did in terms of the healthier school lunch initiatives when you were on the school board to try to clean that up a little bit? And what did you notice from the kids' response?
Well, there was a lot of pushback initially, not so much from the community, but from folks in the nutrition industry saying, well, we have to make sure kids eat, and they're not going to want to eat healthy foods. And so the initial feedback was, oh, this may not be a good idea, and are you sure you want to move in this direction? And so as we did improve what we offered our students, and this was, of course, before the big federal push, this was years ago, we made some changes, and lo and behold, those salad bars were popular. And there was no pushback from the students. In fact, they ate healthier food because it was offered. Surprise, right?
Yeah. Do you see that? The kids gravitated to the salad bar. How amazing is that? I saw the same thing when I was in high school a quarter century ago. They put in a salad bar, I think my junior year, and that was by far and away the longest line out of anything. They didn't want the pizza, the burgers, the cheesesteaks. They wanted the salad. Shocked.
Yeah.
And kids say, or people say that, kids don't like fruits and vegetables. Were you a fruits and vegetables person growing up? Is that why you had this keen interest?
At my age, and we won't talk about what that is, but I grew up in the era where we didn't eat as many fresh fruits and vegetables. I grew up, I hate to even say it, on canned asparagus and canned vegetables, right? I mean, that was the era that we were in. So I learned to love fresh fruits and vegetables as I grew up and as I was an adult, and tried to offer those to my children, right?
Right.
Change that pattern of only eating canned food.
Yeah.
And so, it's been wonderful to see this new generation of kids have more interest in their own health. And I think part of what we do, like with this event today, is provide education for the community so they can understand that it's not hard to eat healthy and that the outcomes are so worth it. So worth it.
What are some of the must-have fruits and vegetables that you always have in your house?
We have apples all the time. We have oranges all the time. Regularly, we have bananas. And the big go-to fruit over all of those at our home is blueberries. Blueberries.
You got to have the blueberries. Got to have the
We have
blueberries.
fresh, we have frozen. They're wonderful.
Absolutely. All year round, you got to have the blueberries. We have a lot of that. We love the Honeycrisp apples in particular. What's your
Absolutely.
favorite?
Those are Minnesota apples you're talking
Are
about.
they now?
Honeycrisp were founded by the University of Minnesota right here. Yes,
You shut the front door. Is that right?
that's right.
Okay.
So we're huge Honeycrisp fans.
Oh, all right. We're learning stuff today, my friends. We're really taking that health IQ up to the next level. That's fantastic. A couple of more before I let you go. I think that there are probably a lot of people who are watching right now or listening to the podcast and saying, well, I would love to get in contact with my mayor and get some healthy initiatives on their agenda there. How would you recommend that average citizen go about affecting change in their community through the mayor's office?
Well, mayors love to partner, number one. So if you can offer a partnership, and I have found wonderful partners in Rochester, all the way from the Lotus Foundation and the folks at the conference today, the Rochester Clinic, as well as our friends at Mayo Clinic. Public health is a great, place to knock on their door. But mayors do what we do because we hear from our community. So your mayor's office absolutely should be a place that you go. Your city council members can be included too and say, this is really important to me and to our community and to our future. And so ask.
And last question, what does health of the future look like to you? I know that's a very broad kind of question, but it just seems like right now we've got obesity rates going up. We have chronic disease rates going up, but I feel like we're learning more and more and more with each passing day. And eventually we're going to hit that tipping point and make some pretty drastic changes and go back in a healthier direction. So what does that future look like to you?
Yeah, you've outlined a real problem. We are all so attached to our phones and technology, and the pandemic didn't help, where everybody kind of hunkered down at home. And what we know is social connections, being with other people, is better for us. And so getting out of your house more often, eating healthier foods, exercising, putting the technology down and away, even if you can do it for, I'm going to go for an hour without touching my phone. I mean, some people literally can't do that. We're going to have to do that because as much as technology is changing our world and making improvements, it also has some detrimental effects, and we're going to have to balance those. And it's going to take willpower and education.
There it is. Mayor Kim Norton, thank you so very much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation.
It is an honor to be joined by Mei Lai and her husband, Dr. Jengyu Lai. Thank you guys so very much for, one, welcoming us to Minnesota, and two, putting on such a phenomenal event.
Well, thank you very much for coming. It's an honor. It's a kind of a dream to have you come to Rochester finally.
It's really my honor to be here, and I'm really blown away by the level of speakers that have been brought in here. We had Dr. Eddie Ramirez on the show, Brenda Davis, of course, so many others who have come through your doors. How are you getting all of these dignitaries to come to Rochester?
You want to start?
That's all yours.
Well, actually, that started from 2014, the first time when we were introduced to American College of Lifestyle Medicine Conference in San Diego through our physician, Dr. Thomas Harmon. And we were blown away by how much energy and information that we received and felt at the ACLM conference. And we kept going back for 10 years, pretty much. And our goal at that time was to bring those top-notch speakers that come to our community to bring those knowledge, not only for the community folks, but also for the medical professional. You know, Rochester, Minnesota, that is well known for a medical town.
Absolutely. And as a doctor in Rochester, you work as a podiatrist, but you also practice lifestyle medicine.
Right.
How is the health of this community overall?
In theory, it's pretty good.
In theory.
Right. But just like we all see, I think Dr. Dysinger yesterday mentioned, when you want to build your health, you need to have a good foundation. Just like you build a house, you don't want someone who is just very good at building the second floor. And this town is very good for building the second floor. And our job is to lay the foundation. It's a community health. That's why this symposium is called community wellness. Our goal is really to build this foundation for everyone in the community, and then the other medical center can take over for the second floor.
Now, I've been privileged enough to have so many doctors who practice all different specialties of medicine on the show. I don't think I've ever had a podiatrist on the show before. It seems to me it's an interesting combination where you're able to blend that with lifestyle medicine. What is the connection between the two?
People don't think about podiatry as part of lifestyle medicine, but just like physical activity, we talk about walking. And when you walk, you don't just walk without your feet. And when we treat feet, I usually tell patients that the feet don't come in by themselves. It's a whole person approach. When I prescribe medication, the medication doesn't just go to your feet, go to your leg. That goes through the whole body. So it's I believe it's very reasonable or logical that when you look at the feet, you look at the whole person. Even in terms of our mechanics, there are two schools of thought. Do the legs control the feet, or the feet control the legs? No, it depends on what you do, the time of the day or activity. No, and when we look at the foot and ankle, a lot of time, your problem from your back, from your legs, contribute to your foot and ankle pain. But sometimes your foot and ankle pain come from your upper, like the lower back and your side, your hip. And so it's really reasonable that you want to practice good foot and ankle care, you need to look at the whole person. And when you want to have a whole person wellness, you want to have very good foot and ankle health.
We talk a lot about diabetes on the show, and one of the symptoms that people who are suffering with diabetes talk about a lot are issues with their feet. How many of your patients come through your door suffering from diabetes and in turn are having issues with their feet?
Quite a lot. Is I would say at least 20-30%. But the thing is, a lot of times they don't even know they have diabetes. I have to look at their medical record, their previous medical record, and found out that they have a diagnosis of diabetes. Or sometimes they deny it. It's really in denial. They say, oh, I don't have diabetes. And I say, oh, well, look at your medical record. Before you came here, there's a diagnosis of diabetes. And they'll say, oh, it's not something really a problem. It's just a little bit of high sugar. I don't have diabetes.
So May, you see these patients come through the doors at the Rochester Clinic. You see the type of issues that they're having. Does that help you then formulate the ideas for how it is, or the speakers that you want to bring in at the Lotus Health Foundation Health and Happiness Symposium?
Well, before we get to that, I was very frustrated before we started our clinic in 2010 as a finance director of two nonprofit organizations. Every year, I was just pondering on the rising costs of the medical health insurance, because it's never been a solution to keep upgrading your policy, as it's never be able to have enough funding to cover the growing chronic diseases, in the staff team. And so the same thing when we had our clinic, people come in the door, majority of them are suffering from the chronic diseases. So we feel like it's kind of overwhelming. If we want to educate people about a way to control their chronic diseases, we gotta do something, which is education. And that's why one night, I think it was a winter, we were so frustrated to say, let's form a nonprofit organization so we are able to bring all these, knowledgeable lifestyle medicine experts come to the community and do a community level education. And so I think that served the purpose of to educate the people, but also the healthcare providers. As a lot of the healthcare providers, they didn't have this lifestyle medicine training at their school. So that's a start from that small inspiration at ACLM conference, and then during our practice, our frustration and kind of coming to this point. And we made a lot of connections at the ACLM conference, and we know that there are a lot more outstanding physicians. They are so passionate about making the change in the world, especially our mentor, Dr. Hans Steele, and also Dr. Barnard at the PCRM.
And I'm not sure if you two are aware of this or not, but you are really putting Rochester on the map. Rochester, very well known, obviously, for the Mayo Clinic, but you guys are really making this a hub of lifestyle medicine now. And I'm not sure that you two are aware of the impact that you've had just in a relatively short amount of time. But people know to come here now, and this is a place where lifestyle medicine is embraced. So on behalf of the exam roomies, I just want to say thank you for all of the tremendous work that you're doing.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, I want to clarify, it's Rochester, Minnesota, not Rochester, New York.
Important distinction, absolutely. That's pretty funny. But do you feel like you're starting to reach people like an hour or so away in the Twin Cities, the St. Paul, Minneapolis area? Are you seeing patients come through your doors specifically because you practice lifestyle medicine?
We do. I cannot say a lot, but we do. We do have patients coming from Twin City just to see us because of the lifestyle medicine practice.
Sure.
And majority of our volunteers in our event actually come from Twin Cities.
Yeah.
And we regularly do presentations in the Twin Cities as a community education too.
As far as the community, our mission is to promote the lifestyle medicine education in the community. The community it's not just for Rochester, because in overall we want to spread the word to the rest of part of Minnesota, and so whenever we went to do some health talk or to show up that we have there's an opportunity, an option for people to pursue the care from lifestyle medicine practitioner, we receive an overwhelmed response, and they have been asking whether we can have a clinic in the Twin City. But in the past couple years, people heard about what the foundation do and also the clinic's practice. We generally receive some response, and people come to here. But one day, we hope that this community education can really expand to broader scope, which is reach far out to more than just Twin City, even in the St. Cloud, and which we have a couple physicians travel that far come to speak as well.
Outstanding. And what is the goal for the symposium that you put on through the Lotus Health Foundation? It is growing year by year. Obviously, we see the caliber of speakers who are here, which rivals literally any health conference who I've been to. I mean, the lineup this year is just amazing. Dr. Eddie Ramirez, Brenda Davis, who have been on the show, so many others. And I know in the past, Dr. Michael Greger has been here. I mean, it's just been a phenomenal who's who in this industry. How would you like to see the symposium continue to grow?
We'd like to see 800 people. We'd like to see more. We'd like to reach out to people who have not heard about this. So we want to increase the size of the like-minded people, especially healthcare professionals. We are very grateful. Over a period of time, we have again some friendship, with the physicians from Mayo Clinic who are like-minded, Dr. Carlson and Dr. Musalem, that they have been a great advocate for lifestyle medicine for what we do, and they have been able to connect our speakers with Mayo Clinic to give them a grand round. I think that is a big milestone for us. And especially this year, we also received the proclamation from the governor, Tim Walz. And our goal is continue to gain the support from the local authorities, so be able to widespread the word about the lifestyle medicine to reduce the chronic diseases, to become a much healthier state.
Outstanding. And not only did you get the proclamation from the governor, we got one here locally from the mayor of
Kim
Rochester,
Norton.
Mayor Kim Norton.
Yes.
Was here. And Doctor, let me ask you this. The mayor yesterday was talking about her efforts to really kind of curb sugary drinks, sodas in schools. I'm not sure that there's been a particular study on sugar-sweetened beverages and podiatry, but if there has been one, are you familiar with it?
Not podiatry specific, but mostly on diabetes. Right. Because as you mentioned earlier, one of the most severe diabetic complications are on the feet. Diabetes from the neuropathy, circulation issues, ulceration. So it's mostly through the diabetes.
Gotcha. And in terms of inflammation, when you have tissue issues, muscle issues with your feet, what would a whole food plant-based diet do for somebody who's really struggling and every step is painful?
Well, there's two aspects. Number one, pain is one form of inflammation. So if you have pain, you want to reduce the pain, anti-inflammatory diet, they'll cut down your pain right away. Secondly, it usually is a form of injury. When you want to heal your injury, proper nutrition is very important. Especially we hear about everything is collagen supplements. But when the body want to produce collagen, we need special cofactors like vitamin C, zinc, and copper. And those we can get very good from plant-based diet.
Gotcha. So what would you say, and I hate to do reductionist questions, but people, they just love them. So if somebody were really interested in taking their diet to the next level to reduce that inflammation, what are some of the foods you would say to zero in on?
Number one, I ask them to not eat dairy first. The food that will increase the inflammatory responses in the body, dairy, refined sugar, we cut that off first. And then we increase tardive green. We want berries, it's very good, and also nuts and seeds.
And you don't just write prescriptions to fill at the pharmacy, you also write prescriptions for produce. What is that all about?
Right. We have a community garden right next to our clinic. It's actually called Pharmacy RX. FARMACY-RX. Pharmacy RX. It's very, that will mention that you really need vitamin C for your collagen and also the produce of plant-based diet. Instead of just writing the prescription or pharmaceutical prescription, I'll ask them to pick up more fresh produce from our pharmacy garden.
Mm-hmm. What kind of vegetables and fruits are you growing in there?
We have the staple of the tomatoes, of course, but we have a lot of dark leafy green like kale, that, and also basil, herb, that type of thing.
Watermelon.
watermelon is huge.
And
yes,
winter melons.
a lot of squash. Yes,
Yeah.
and our goal is really make it a true prescription pad that we can write a prescription, just like Dr. Dysinger yesterday mentioned. I'll write down green produce 3 times a day or something like that, and then they will be able to fill this prescription at any farmer's market or some farms.
But they get to take some home with them from the clinic that day as well?
Yes, absolutely. And when you go to some clinic or some business, you see they have a bowl of candies.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We have produce.
We have a bowl of tomatoes, whatever we pick that day. Wow. So people can take away. They are just, our patient was so surprised and they kept asking, are you sure this is free? I say, yes. Sometime, well, I think I should go back to the reason why we have this pharmacy arts community garden, because our we have a open lot. It's waiting for the expansion from the clinic. But in the meantime, we feel like, wow, this is an empty lot. We should do something about it, especially during the pandemic time. We got to do a lot of things outdoor to enhance the emotional health. So we realized that to convert an open lot to a community garden is such a great idea. We gather anyone welcome, especially the volunteers to come to do a little bit whatever they can. There's no age limit. And so we make this as a no-till garden. Just to put a tarp in and kill the grass underneath it and then dig the hole and just transplant that. We also receive a lot of support from local nursery store. They donated some vegetable plants. So whatever they gave us, we just plant in the ground. And so this garden also serves as a great tool for lifestyle medicine practice. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, I had a presentation. Mei and I had a presentation at our gardening club 2 months ago on how gardening improves your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So we talk about not only the fresh produce, the plant-based diet, you also have the constant movement, gentle movement. You have the social networking because it's a group of people. You're doing the gardening together and reduce your stress, and you have the purpose of not only seeing them grow, you also help people with your produce. So it does a lot of things. And then sunlight, just like Dr. Eddie Ramirez talked about today, that's melatonin. Under the sunlight during daytime actually induce melatonin production at night. So it serves a lot of purpose of the lifestyle medicine.
And I would imagine that with that fruit and vegetables being so ultra fresh, they are absolutely delicious. And I think that that's really going to excite the patient about moving forward in that direction too.
Absolutely. There's a research study actually show that vitamin C in the produce will begin to degrade as soon after being harvested. And after 5 days, the amount of vitamin C is almost zero. And think about in Minnesota, if we rely on produce coming from Mexico, California, it takes more than 5 days from the harvest to the shelf. So if you really want to have a vitamin C, you really need to get fresh produce from your local farmers.
And we also use a garden as a project to teach people it doesn't take a lot of effort for them to do the gardening, especially no-till method. We even don't do the fertilizer. And the vegetable just will grow very happy, especially last year when we had the watermelons. I didn't believe that we should grow watermelon because you can get one puppy for only $5, but it tastes so different. And so this year we're going to grow more watermelons. Not only that, when patients come in and they see the growth of the garden, and once they see most of the green grow up like an ocean of a green, they normally like to wait outside just to have that moment. They say that is so healing. So garden actually is very healing for patients and it reduces their anxiety. We also be able to donate more than 3,000 pounds of produce to 10 nonprofit organizations.
Holy smokes.
So yeah, it's amazing for how much the garden can do. So we actually encourage other practice or local business together to do something similar. Then you don't have much problem about the shortage of the food and create a sense of a purpose as an entire community.
So you actually teach the patients how to garden themselves?
Yeah.
And cook.
And cook. Yeah, we do a lot of a cooking demo. We even set a booth, just a table outside of the clinic, and we just do the cooking demo. Sometimes we have like a group of maybe 30 school children with their parents that came, and they were so excited. The kids love it to do something, and we just let them kind of show off, and they really catch up things very quick. And so then also they gather the free producer home to cook again with the recipes, and that is the purpose of the teaching.
Wow. So let's just walk people through beginning to end here with the treatment process. They can come to you for regular treatment.
Yes.
And then they also get all of these side benefits, learning proper nutrition, learning how to grow their own produce, and how to cook it.
Yes. And they receive a recipe as a prescription.
Yes.
You guys are the total package.
Well, Dr. Loomis from PCRM.
Yeah.
I had a patient 2 days ago. She and her friend are running a marathon in Twin Cities tomorrow. And I gave her Dr. Loomis' recovery smoothies recipe.
There, Dr. Jim Loomis. Yeah, I will pass that on to him. He's a good friend of mine. That's unbelievable. Well, look, that is all at the Rochester Clinic, and I highly recommend you check that out. I may fly back in just to check that out. That is unbelievable. And again, the show description has the link to the Rochester Clinic, all the contact info there. Thank you both so very much for being here. This has absolutely been tremendous.
Thank you. Welcome back.